Hello, good evening. It's News 360 coming to you live from the News Hub here at Adesawe Kanda. I am Portia Gabo.
Across the world, we're live also on all our social media platforms at TV3. Good evening to you. I am Noble Crosby Annan, and these are the headlines of the bulletin tonight.
News 360 Headlines is brought to you by
EcoBank,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal.
Ghana's youth unemployment remains high despite billions spent on job creation programs, raising questions about their effectiveness.
And also coming up tonight, Ghana's new road traffic rules raise questions over motorists' rights to legally record police encounters during traffic stops. We have details shortly.
This evening, the Ghana Association of University Administrators and Technical University Senior Administrators, they seek 48 hours to consult members on strike action.
Later in business news, Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy calls for Boss-Tor merger to boost petroleum sector efficiency and eliminate duplication of rules.
Before we go tonight, to bring you some international news as Somali federal troops retake Baidoa after heavy clashes with opposition forces leave several people dead in the city. Welcome to the program. We're live also on all our social media platforms at TV3 Ghana, live on DSTV channel 279. Welcome to the program as we settle further details.
In our very first story, Ghana's population is getting younger, but for many young people, finding a job remains a major concern. Successive governments have spent billions of cedis on job creation, skills training and business programs targeting the youth. But have these efforts worked? Evalentina looks at the numbers, the programs, and young people still searching for work.
For years, the promise has been the same: train young people, give them support, and create jobs. But the big question is, are these programs really reducing youth unemployment or only offering short-term help? Data from the Ghana Statistical Service shows that youth unemployment remains much higher than the national rate. In 2024, unemployment among people aged 15 to 35 averaged 22.5%. For those aged 15 to 24, it was 32%. In every quarter of 2024, about 7 in 10 unemployed people were aged 15 to 35. The problem continued into 2025. In the third quarter of 2025, about 1.3 million young people aged 15 to 24 were not working, in school or in training. That was 21.5% of the age group. Youth unemployment among those aged 15 to 24 was about 32.5%, while unemployment among those aged 15 to 35 stood at about 21.9%. Successive governments have not been short of programs. From the Youth Employment Agency and NAPCO to YouStart, Ejumara, and the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, several initiatives have been introduced to tackle the challenge. Despite these efforts, youth unemployment remains above 20%. The figures suggest that many of these programs have not been large-scale or long-term enough to solve the problem.
Many young people are venturing into social enterprises, into entrepreneurship, agribusiness, and what have you. But the challenge is funding. Government has to have a dedicated funding that young people can tap into when they have their initiatives or innovations.
The Minister for Youth Development and Empowerment, George Opari-Addo, appears to acknowledge the gap.
But the policies we are rolling out, for instance with Ejumera has just finished its first cohort of 14,000 beneficiaries. When they start employing, it will have a positive effect on the youth budget. Under the National Apprenticeship Program, we trained 14,000. Under the YE, we've trained 30,000. So you'll definitely see a decline in the youth unemployment rate.
The minister says government has not yet delivered on all its promises to create jobs for young people.
We have largely ticked most of the boxes, but it is still work in progress. We are not done yet. But I want to assure you that you gave us a 4-year mandate. We gave you specifics. We told you the things that we're going to do in the first 100 days. We promised you that we'll be launching the no-fee stress policy in the first 100 days. We did it. We promised you that we'll launch the 1 million coders program in the first 100 days. We've done it. It's ongoing. We promised you that we'll launch a Jumera in the first 100 days. We did it. There are other programs in there that we are yet to implement. And I want to assure you that by the time His Excellency is done with his 4 years, every single promise he made to the young people of this country would have been fulfilled.
For now, the evidence points to a mixed picture. Youth unemployment remains high, raising a bigger question. Can Ghana create enough jobs for its growing young population? The answer may depend not only on how many programs are introduced, but on whether these programs can create sustainable jobs, expand opportunities in the private sector, and equip young people with skills that match the demands of the economy. Until that gap closes, Ghana's growing youth population could become a challenge rather than the economic advantage it has the potential to be. Evelyn Tenkma, TV3 News, Accra.
The stories tonight, we're taking you to the roads now because a new question is emerging as Ghana begins implementing the Road Traffic Regulations 2026. When a police officer stops a motorist, can that citizen legally record the encounter? The issue has generated considerable public interest, particularly as motorists seek to understand their rights and responsibilities under the new regulations. Elizabeth Enam Haliga takes a look at the new road regulations.
For some motorists, a traffic stop can be an uncomfortable experience. But what happens when a driver reaches for their phone and begins recording? The debate has gained prominence following the introduction of the legislative instrument 2519, Ghana's new road traffic regulations. But legal experts caution that motorists should distinguish between recording an interaction and interfering with police duties. A person who records a police officer while the officer is carrying out a public duty is not automatically committing an offense simply by making the recording. However, that does not give a motorist unlimited freedom to interfere with a traffic operation. For example, obstructing an officer, interfering with traffic enforcement, resisting a lawful distraction, and turning the recording into a confrontation could create a separate legal issue.
We have a search that must be made with a warrant from the court, and then we have one that, based on the situation, the law allows them. For instance, if they see you driving and they suspect that you are in possession of maybe narcotics, they need not to go to court.
Another question motorists are asking is, can a police officer take a driver's phone simply because the driver is recording? And can an officer demand that the footage be deleted?
The police cannot seize your phone just because you are recording, and the police does not like the fact that you are recording, and because of that, it's seizing your phone. There's nothing unlawful about you recording. So what you are doing is not unlawful, and because it's not unlawful, then the police cannot just seize your phone because they don't like what you are doing, and then they want to, prevent you.
For motorists, the practical advice is straightforward: remain calm, keep a safe distance, comply with lawful instructions, and avoid turning documentation into confrontation. If a driver believes an officer has acted improperly, the incident can be documented and reported through the appropriate compliant or legal process.
As enforcement of LI 2519 gathers pace, the conversation is no longer only about where motorists can be fined. It's about understanding the boundaries between police authority and the citizens' rights. And for anyone stopped on Ghana's roads, knowing where these boundaries lie could be as important as knowing the traffic rules themselves. Enyunam Haliga, TV3 News, Accra.
In more news tonight, striking members of the Ghana Association of University Administrators and the Technical University Senior Administrators Association of Ghana have requested 48 hours to consult their members on whether to suspend or continue their industrial action. The request follows a meeting involving leadership of Vice Chancellor's Ghana, the Education Minister, and representatives of the two unions.
At the meeting, Education Minister Haruna Drisu appealed to the striking unions to give the government 1 month to address their concerns.
1 month from today, but I need the data. That's all he's asked from me. Halfway, we should be able to accommodate some of your concerns. But I want industrial harmony and peace on all university campuses throughout Ghana.
The Ghana Association of University Administrators and the Technical University Senior Administrators Association (TUSAC) of Ghana are now expected to meet with their respective members and communicate their decisions after the consultations.
We have had a very positive conversation with the Minister, the Sector Minister of Education. It's been very fruitful. However, we need to meet our constituents and get back to the Minister. So we have assured the Minister that within 48 hours, we'll get back to him on our resolve.
We are not calling off the strike. We are engaging our constituents in 48 hours. When you strike, you can suspend, you can call off. You don't know which road we are taking yet. So don't be conclusive that we are calling off. We are not.
The outcome of the consultation is expected to determine whether the strike will be suspended or continue. Meanwhile, Vice Chancellor's Ghana has also urged the two unions to call off their strike to allow academic activities to resume.
Now, still on the labour front, the Ghana National Petroleum Tanker Drivers Union has reached an agreement with bulk oil storage and transportation to address concerns raised by tanker drivers in Kumasi. Now, the Kumasi branch of the union, they embarked on a 3-day sit-down strike over alleged meter reading discrepancies, inadequate parking space, and other operational challenges. Following an engagement with management of BOST, union leadership say they will suspend the strike pending the implementation of commitments reached at the meeting.
The drivers had raised concerns over alleged discrepancies in the measurement of petroleum products transported from Tema to Kumasi, which they say have been resulting in financial losses. They also complained about inadequate parking facilities, forcing some tanker operators to park along the roadside while waiting to load or discharge petroleum products.
MPA, it was still a new seal. Afe naba na si no ye de phone kra na bie nti se enya si no APD tamawa o menya lodu wie na de si no boma agi se nipa na ba be bie ekuta no ese phone no bie wa still yes anya shortage yes still ye de aba no ye shotu yesu a na atwa agu invoice na chi na ye ka ewura fo na kwakote ye timi load every inside wa etu inside wa na shotu. Nti pese busa se omo de ense hegem ana omo de ense heboase tanka eni kwase jakwa akwa ho enso na me se boss omo ne ma bi enko ye nti asase eda ho ense omo ye maye no omo nya maye nti de product ne ba ne ye pa akwa ho be be for beda omo nya.
But shortly after the drivers announced the sit-down strike, BOST management engaged the union leadership, resulting in a number of commitments aimed at resolving the concerns. BOST says a contractor has been dispatched to Kumasi to fix a hanging loading arm, with the work expected to be completed within weeks. On the contentious meter reading issue, BOST and the union have agreed to engage the National Petroleum Authority in September to determine the acceptable meter-to-meter error margin and report on the outcome. There is also a long-term intervention to address the parking challenge. According to BOST Energies, a contract has already been awarded for the construction of a new car park in Kumasi, while the existing AG car park is also expected to be resurfaced immediately. The measures are expected to ease tension between BOST and the tanker drivers and address some of the operational challenges confronting them. For the drivers, however, the key issue now is how quickly these commitments will be implemented. For now, the union leadership is expected to suspend the strike following the engagement and assurances from BOST. Ibrahim Abubakar, TV3 News, Kumasi.
And away from the Ashanti region, the Accra High Court has adjourned the case of former National Signals Bureau Director Kwabena Edubuahen and his wife Angela Ejebuatin to August 25 until the final determination of an application seeking to restrain the trial court from sitting during the legal vacation. The injunction application, which is before the Supreme Court, has been scheduled to be heard on Thursday, August 20. Lord Edwasari reports.
Kwabena Edubuahen and his wife Angela Ejebuatin have been charged with multiple offences including defrauding by false pretenses, willfully causing financial loss to the state, using public office for personal gain, and money laundering. They are pleaded not guilty and are on bail. In court on Monday, August 17, a legal representative of the couple, Peter Osea Samoa, holding brief for Samoa Atachian, notified the judge about a letter explaining that Samoa Atachian had other professional commitments which made it impossible for him to attend proceedings during the legal vacation. But Deputy Attorney General Dr. Justice Remsai opposed the request, noting that the reason given mirrored one already contained in a letter sent to the Chief Justice. He noted that counsel had cited other commitments during the vacation, but had not explained why the case could not proceed with other lawyers from his firm representing the accused persons. Osea Samoa again noted that there was an injunction application restraining the court from sitting during the legal vacation. Dr. Remsai argued that the court had already ordered the matter to proceed during the vacation and that counsel could not from the bar determine the pace of proceedings. The Deputy AG urged the court to dismiss the request and allow the trial to continue. Presiding Judge Justice Ashibonga, after listening to the counsel, however, adjourned the matter to August 25 to await the Supreme Court's ruling on the injunction application. Meanwhile, Godfred Yeboah-Dame, the lead counsel for the former National Food and Buffer Stock Company CEO, has maintained that despite the Chief Justice's directive, he will skip the sittings during the legal vacations.
How come this matter has been fixed for hearing the vacation? Was it pursuant to the request of the Attorney General? And if it was not, was the Chief Justice himself exercising discretion without consulting the parties and forcing hearing dates on the parties? That clearly is wrong. If you want to scrap legal vacation, then scrap it all for everybody. You cannot discriminatorily select about 3 or 4 cases and say you're going to subject them to trial in the vacation. And indeed, all the cases, people made the point that Justice Achibonga has a general warrant. But that is deceptive, because that general warrant is actually for him to sit in the court, and that court deals with only these cases, only these 3 or 4 cases. Beyond that, Justice Achibonga does not conduct any trial in any matter.
The former NAFCO CEO, Hanan Abdul Wahab Aludiba, and his wife's case have also been adjourned to August 25 pending the determination of the injunction application seeking to restrain the courts from sitting during the legal vacation. Lord Edwasari, TV3 News, Accra.
In more news tonight, hundreds of residents from Dom Kwabena, Comet, Brekusu, Ajimenti and Ketasi have taken to the streets to demand the rehabilitation and completion of the Dom Kwabena Brekusu Ketasi Road. The protesters say the deplorable state of the road has disrupted movement, affected businesses and exposed residents to excessive health conditions. Joseph Armstrong Gold has more in this report.
For years, residents along the Dom Kwabena Brekusu Tikesi corridor say they have endured the consequences of a road they describe as long overdue for rehabilitation. On Monday, August 17, hundreds of residents, transport operators, traders and other road users took to the streets to demand urgent government intervention. The demonstration, organized by the Dom Kwabena Tikesi Road Stakeholders Committee, was aimed at drawing attention to the worsening condition of the road and the difficulties it continues to create for communities along the route.
I'm asking the president, we know he can do it, and we know he will do it. So we are appealing to him. We are not begging, we are appealing that this needs to be done. He should come and do it for the people to know that, yes, he can do it.
The protesters say the road has remained in a deplorable state despite repeatedly appeals to the authorities. They insist that several attempts to engage the relevant authorities have yielded little progress, leaving them with no option but to organize the street protests.
And they say I invited 2 MPs. No Mumba petition and
For residents, The problem goes beyond the inconvenience of navigating a bad road. They say the dust generated by passing vehicles has become a daily concern, particularly for residents, school children, traders, and businesses operating along the routes.
So driver every hospital.
Transport operators also say the condition of the road affects their operations, while commuters are forced to endure longer and more difficult journeys.
When we from wanted work, contractors are horror number point is woman to be final. Tears rabbi yedin to do and chow on my boy and on my point mile.
Yeah, taxi drivers say, oh, yeah, tomorrow, Tommy Cobinia to get us get me more brown because anything be a baby will be an say. You can't say maybe a baby and this kind of papers.
The protesters are therefore calling on the government and relevant authorities to prioritize the rehabilitation and completion of the road. They believe fixing the road will improve transportation, reduce the difficulties faced by commuters, and bring relief to communities along the corridor.
And in the Upper East region, some young people in Bolgatanga have expressed disappointment over the absence of the contractor working on the Bolgatanga-Boku-Pulakum road. They threatened to demonstrate if the contractor does not return to the site within 2 weeks. Our Upper East regional correspondent, Tanko Mohamed Rabiu, reports.
The 102.55-kilometer road starts from the Bolgatanga municipality as a dual carriageway for 2 kilometers before continuing as a single carriageway through Zebila and Bokon and ending at Polimaku. When completed, the road is expected to boost economic activities along the eastern corridor and improve international trade receipt through the haulage of goods to Burkina Faso and Togo. It was all joy and excitement when residents witnessed the presence of heavy-duty construction equipment, machinery and workers assembled at the Kula Bridge, awaiting the inspection of President Mahama during his 2-day resetting visit to the Upper East region. Minutes before the arrival of the president at the construction site, however, some residents expressed doubt about the continuation of the project, suggesting that the exercise could be an attempt to deceive them.
It's very bad. All the time when you pass there, dusty. All the time there's accident on the road.
The last time we saw people working on this road, we heard that the president was coming. We saw them here. They came and parked. They were here. After the president left, as you can see, they are all gone.
In the coming days, if we don't see the contractor back to site, we will mobilize the youth and make sure that they bring the contractor back to site. Because it is now becoming unbecoming. They take the development of Upper East for granted, 15/15, nothing to show.
The Minister for Roads and Highways, Kwame Govins Abuja, during the visit stated that the project would continue until its expected completion in 2027.
President Mahama has directed that whatever it takes for that project to be completed by the end of 2027 has to be done. Fortunately, yesterday, he was with us on the site and the contractors have returned to site. These contractors are not going to leave the site again until the project is finished. That is the assurance we give you.
Barely a week after President Mahama's visit to the site, work appeared to have stalled, prompting residents to express their anger on social media and on the streets of Bolgatanga. But the Upper East Regional Communications Director of the ruling National Democratic Congress, Salifu Abdallah, said the contractor has not abandoned the project.
Until the final layer of chippings is put on that route, the contractor will not go back. And we will all make sure that the contractor stays until he's done with his work. So this is just to allay the fears that the contractor has moved out after the president has left. There are people working there.
Meanwhile, on Monday, August 17, 2026, about 10 steel workers were seen on top of the bridge under construction, carrying out some work. But that has done little to convince residents, with some describing the activity as merely a setup.
Now, stakeholders are calling for urgent action to close Ghana's climate change adaptation gap. with stronger financing, collaboration and community participation. They say as climate risk and vulnerabilities intensify, the country must move beyond reacting to disasters and accelerate adaptation planning and implementation to build resilient communities, ecosystems and economies.
The impact of climate change are already affecting millions of people worldwide, particularly in Africa. In Ghana, the risks are becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. Flood, drought, rising temperatures and changing rainfall patterns are putting communities, livelihood and the economy under growing pressure. Some experts say recent disasters in parts of the country clearly highlight inadequate preparedness. The Director for Adaptation, Climate Resilience and Risk Management at the Environmental Protection Agency, Nana Dr. Nchibwe Siako, explained that as climate threats intensify, stronger action must be taken to build resilience against the growing impact of climate change.
What is needed and what we are providing now, the need gap is very big. And this is why we have to work hard as a country in terms of the policies and then also in terms of mobilizing resources, because the bottom line is not the policies. We have quite a number of policies and structures in place. What is lacking largely is about the financial resources and the technologies needed to be able to address some of these vulnerabilities.
The Director for Climate Change Adaptation, Natural Resource Sector at the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment in South Africa, Thabang Fago, noted that local knowledge and participation are critical to ensuring that climate solutions work for the people most affected.
So for communities, for people, as you say, to be involved, you need to take it down to that grassroots level. And the only way is to involve different players who are clued up with the grassroots and what's going on. This includes community-based organizations that are on the daily working with traditional leadership, that are working with communities as a whole. So that is a big need for us to get things to really happen and for vulnerable communities to really start building resilience towards the effects of climate change.
With climate impact becoming more pronounced, stakeholders say the agency now is to turn adaptation plans into practical action with the resources, collaboration and community participation needed to build resilience and protect those most vulnerable. The peer learning event is on the theme accelerating the transition from planning to implementation in National Adaptation Plan process.
Well, it's now time for the weather update, and mostly cloudy conditions will prevail across most parts of Ghana. Thunderstorms or rain are expected over part of the transition and northern sectors, while slight rain is possible over part of the middle sector. Mist or fog patches may develop over mountainous and forest areas, reducing visibility. Coming up, the forecast figures.
Weather News segment is brought to you by Syntex Tank.
their operational effectiveness.
I think that we need to merge these two entities to reduce duplications of roles. We need to also merge these companies to ensure that we are able to integrate our midstream effectively because these companies perform similar functions anyway.
Executive Director of SEMSEP, Benjamin Insia, says a stronger consolidated entity would also have better access to capital market, financing to upgrade and maintain infrastructure for petroleum storage, distribution and refining.
Improve financial health of the entity, which also improves the ability to access credit from the capital market to improve either infrastructure for storing products or distribution products and also refining product. The time is now, and it's very critical that as a country we look at the two main state entities in the petroleum downstream, which is BOST and then TOR.
The Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy further urges that the measure will support government's broader efforts to consolidate state-owned entities and create a more integrated petroleum downstream sector.
Senior lecturer and financial economist at the University of Professional Studies, Accra, UPSA, Dr. Eric Boakye-Yadom says investors are unsure of the sustainability of the current economic stability, hence looking for safe avenues to invest. His comments come off as government scores 8th straight oversubscription yields despite oversubscription of treasury bills despite low yields.
From the beginning of the year, treasury bill rate fell from about 11% to currently we are doing around 5%, yet there has been an oversubscription. And Ghana Stock Exchange yield, as we speak now, is around our 70%, one of the top performing across the globe. Amount that is supposed to be given be given as loans are rather going into short-term investment. And the picture is clear. The market entirely is doing well. And we are attracting new funds on the Ghana Stock Exchange. But it doesn't change the fact that funds that should have gone into private businesses, are now being targeted into risk-free. If an economy is recovering, investors are looking for safety because they may not know that whether the stability can live long. That is why banks, instead of lending at 10+%, they will rather would want to invest at around 5%, So I think the priority of investors currently is to look for safety net.
And that'll be all for the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obodu. Let's bring you updates now from the currency and the commodities market.
secured their maiden silver medal, while Algeria also claimed their first ever AFCON medal after edging host Morocco in a dramatic third-place playoff. Here's a look back at the biggest moments and talking points from a memorable tournament.
The 2026 Women's African Cup of Nations has officially wrapped in Morocco, with Cameroon coming up tops as the African champions for the very first time in the tournament's history. The theme of the 2026 edition of the WAFCON being a first-timers tournament continues, with Malawi also winning their first ever medal in the form of a silver medal. For Algeria, whose best achievement at the tournament had been a quarter-final finish in 2024, rose to the occasion as they also grabbed their maiden medal, being a bronze medal after they successfully defeated Morocco 3-2 in that third-place playoff. Cameroon now goes back to their country with a trophy, a World Cup berth for Brazil 2027, and $2 million. For Temwa Shawenga, she was named the top scorer of the tournament. Cameroon's Ngok was named as a player of the tournament, while their amazing goalkeeper, Makeli, was announced as the goalkeeper of the tournament. For Ghana and South Africa, they may not have won anything from this tournament, but what they got was a place in the Intercontinental Playoff for the World Cup in 2027. For the first time in the Women's World Cup history, there will be no Nigeria playing, and also for the very first time, Nigeria failed to medal at the tournament.
Or still on women's football, the Black Princesses have set their sights on Poland as the team and their technical handlers have touched down for the 2026 FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup. The squad left Ghana on Sunday, August 16, determined to make a mark on the global stage. Assistant coach Joyce Ejay has revealed that the objective is to guide the team beyond the group stages for the very first time.
Our main objective is that we should be able to qualify from the group stage and then play in the knockout stage. If we all know that the Black Princesses have qualified and played in the World Cup for 7 times, and in all those, they've not been able to leave the group stage and then make it into the knockout stage. And we've been able to put certain things together, prepare the players so well, so that we will be able to make it through the group stage and enter into the knockout stage, and even hopefully qualify for the semi-finals.
Now, before we go, let's do some transfer news where Spain's World Cup winning captain Rodri has arrived in Barcelona this evening ahead of his big move from Manchester City. And he says that it's a dream to play for the Catalan club. You can get more updates on our social media handles at 3SportsGH. My name is Oreku Ampofo.
In my line of work, a confident smile is everything. Kale Charcoal Toothpaste keeps me on top of my game and ensures my smile is always radiant and bright.
With the tiring nature of my job, we spend several hours under the scorching sun. To keep our teeth white and our breath fresh all the time, we use none other than Kale Charcoal Toothpaste. Kale Charcoal Toothpaste. You're on a Kessie and in a kit one.
Samayo Kendini, and who be here?
With a lively crowd cheering them on, the 16 contestants showcased stunning looks, including beautifully designed traditional fugu. From casual wear and street style to elegant gowns, the contestants blended fashion and Guinean culture in a colorful celebration.
And tonight, take the runway in grand style, rocking our very own fugu and batakari with a modern twist.
The contestants opened the show in beautifully crafted fugu, reimagined in bold and contemporary designs. The showcase promoted Ghana's traditional fabric while highlighting its place in modern fashion. Judges described the first round as amazing, praising the vibrant colors and versatility of the designs.
Previously, all we thought was fugu, right? But did you see what was paraded? So I loved it. Super loved it.
The evolution of African fashion really excites me. Whoever thought that fugu can be designed into such beautiful outfits? I was in awe when I was watching the ladies come out in all those beautiful outfits. So yeah, African fashion has risen.
Let's give it up for our ladies.
The contestants then returned to the runway in stylish casual outfits made with GTP fabrics, setting the tone for an evening of creativity and fashion. The second fashion segment switched things up with the contestants embracing street style and contemporary streetwear inspired looks made with GTP new style fabrics, bringing energy and attitude to the runway. Then came the final segment of the night, the legacy gown segment, where the contestants dazzled in elegant gowns as they competed for the judges' approval. Amid the glamour and celebration, the show paid tribute to former GMB contestants Juliana Bubune Titiati Chikata, known popularly as Bubune, who passed away a week ago with a 60-second moment of silence observed in her memory.
Congratulations to you, Sessinam.
The night also saw awards presented, including the Kivu Woman of the Week, which went to Sessinam from the Volta region, while Answaf Dabu from the Upper West region won the Best Casual Look. Nana Konedu from the Bono region and Ayimboma from the Upper East region shared Best Model, and Boatema from the OT region took the Best Gown.
Boatema from the OT region wins our Best Gown for the night.
Well, that's it for the entertainment news segment here on News 360. My name is Noella Donko.
Thank you so much, Noella. On the international front, Somali federal troops drove opposition forces out of one of the country's biggest cities, Baidoa, on Monday, following heavy clashes that left many people dead, which is home to hundreds of thousands of people displaced by conflict and hunger in other areas, was shaken by hours of fighting between federal soldiers and opposition forces loyal to the former president of Southwest State, Abdelaziz Hassan Mohammed Laftagrin. Residents said the clashes in the city center on Monday were the fiercest since March, when federal forces seized control of Baidoa after Laftagrin's administration said it was severing ties with the federal government.
Now, President Donald Trump has threatened to bomb Oman, a U.S. ally, if it gets in the way of his administration's own talks with Iran, according to Fox News reports. The U.S. and Oman have separately been negotiating with Tehran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, a waterway that is vital to the global economy. It has been largely closed for nearly 6 months during the U.S.-Iran war. A U.S. president made the threat to Oman while using an expletive during a phone interview. Earlier in the day, Iranian officials said they were close to finalizing a deal with Oman. Meanwhile, the future of talks between the U.S. and Iran is unclear, as a 60-day memorandum of understanding between the two sides is expiring.
And that's it for News 360. Thank you so much for spending 1 hour of your time with us. I am Portia Gabo.
There's more news on our website, 3news.com. My name is Noble Crosby, and stay with us here on TV3. Enjoy the rest of our programs. Ghana Tonight is up next at 10 o'clock with Alfredo Kanse. Good evening.